A wealthy young man mocked a medical student by throwing money at her to persuade her to have an abortion. Years later, during a surgery, Claire had always felt that her home was a haven of love and safety, despite the humble conditions in which they lived. The trailer park where she grew up was a place where families knew and supported each other, creating a tight-knit community. Her parents, although constantly facing financial hardships, always ensured that Claire and her siblings felt the warmth of a united family. Every morning, Claire would wake up before dawn to help her mother prepare breakfast and get her younger siblings ready for school. Her mother, Juliet, was a dedicated nurse who worked night shifts at the local hospital. Despite always being tired, Juliet never stopped smiling and showing infinite patience and love towards her children. Claire deeply admired her mother, and it was through her that she developed a burning desire to help others. Claire's father, José, worked in construction. His hands were rough, and his shoulders bore the weight of long days under the sun. Despite his exhaustion, José always found time to play with his children and teach them valuable life lessons. "Hard work is never in vain, Claire," he would often say. "What we sow today, we will reap tomorrow." One afternoon, while Claire was helping her siblings with their homework, Juliet came home visibly exhausted. The worry on her face was evident. Claire, always perceptive, stopped what she was doing and approached her mother. "What's wrong, Mum?" she asked, gently holding her mother's hand. "Mr. McGregor, our neighbor, came to the hospital last night," Juliet replied with a sigh. "His wife is very ill and needs constant care. I don't know how they'll manage on their own." Claire, moved by the situation, decided to act. That night, after everyone had gone to bed, she quietly left her house and headed to the McGregor's home. She knocked softly on the door and was greeted by the elderly Mr. McGregor, whose face showed a mix of surprise and gratitude upon seeing young Claire at his doorstep. "Hello, Mr. McGregor. I've come to see if I can help with anything," Claire said with an encouraging smile. With tears in his eyes, Mr. McGregor guided her to his wife. Claire had learned some basic medical tasks from her mother and bravely set to work, caring for Mrs. McGregor as best as she could. That night, Claire felt a deep connection with her life's purpose, to care for others and make a difference. The following weeks were intense for Claire. In addition to her responsibilities at home and school, she spent many nights helping the McGregor family. The community noticed Claire's dedication and began to see her as a young woman with a big heart and strong determination. Stories of her kindness spread, and soon Claire became a beloved and respected figure in the trailer park. One morning, while Claire was in the kitchen preparing breakfast, Juliet approached her and gave her a tight hug. "I'm so proud of you, Claire. You have an incredibly strong spirit and a heart full of love. I know you'll go far," her mother said with tears of pride in her eyes. Claire, hugging her mother back, felt a surge of determination. She knew that, no matter the challenges ahead, she would push forward with the support of her family and the community she loved so much. She was determined to make her dream of becoming a doctor a reality, not just to fulfill her personal aspirations, but to give back to the community that had given her so much. Since she was a child, Claire had watched her mother with admiration and awe. Juliet was not only a dedicated nurse, but also a cornerstone of their community. Her compassion and empathy knew no bounds, and her ability to balance work at the hospital with caring for her family was truly inspiring. One afternoon, as Claire returned from school, she found her mother preparing for another long night shift at the hospital. Despite her obvious exhaustion, Juliet was in good spirits, softly singing as she put on her uniform. "Hi, Mom," Claire said, dropping her backpack on the table. "Are you leaving soon?" "Yes, honey. There are many patients who need attention tonight," Juliet replied, smiling at her daughter. "How was your day?" Claire began to tell her mother about her classes and friends, but soon the conversation turned to the topic that always captured her interest: her mother's work at the hospital. Claire was fascinated by the stories Juliet shared about her patients and the various medical situations she faced every day. That night, after Juliet had left for work, Claire decided that she wanted to accompany her on her next shift to see the world of medicine up close. She knew her mother would likely object out of concern, but Claire was determined. The next day after school, she brought up the topic during dinner. "Mom, I'd like to go with you to the hospital one night," Claire said with determination. "I want to see what you do and learn more about your work." Juliet looked at her with surprise, then smiled tenderly. "Claire, my work can be very tough and sometimes sad. I don't want you to feel overwhelmed." "I know, Mom, but I want to learn. I want to understand more about what drives you to do what you do," Claire responded. Juliet finally agreed, seeing the passion in her daughter's eyes. So, one night, Claire accompanied her to the hospital. It was a revealing experience. Claire saw firsthand how her mother treated patients with a combination of skill and compassion that left her in awe. One case in particular stayed with Claire. It was an elderly woman who had arrived at the hospital with respiratory complications. She was frightened and alone. Juliet attended to her with a calmness and care that reassured not only the patient, but also Claire, who watched from a corner of the room. "You're not alone, Mrs. Steinfeld. We're here to help you," Juliet said, as she adjusted the elderly woman's oxygen mask. Claire watched as her mother took the time to explain every step of the treatment, ensuring that the patient felt safe and understood. That act of kindness, that dedication to making someone feel better in their most vulnerable moment, left a deep impression on Claire. From that night on, Claire began accompanying her mother regularly. She wasn't always at the hospital, but she volunteered at community events and assisted her mother on visits to sick neighbors. One of those neighbors was Mr. McGregor, whose condition had worsened recently. Claire and her mother spent several nights caring for him, ensuring he had everything he needed. One day, as Claire and Juliet were back home after visiting Mr. McGregor, Juliet turned to her daughter and said, "Claire, you have a gift. You're not only smart, but you also have a heart full of love and empathy. That combination is powerful. If you truly want to become a doctor, I know you'll be incredible." Those words resonated deeply with Claire. She knew she had a long road ahead, but she also knew she had the perfect role model to follow. Her mother, a strong and compassionate woman who always put others first. Claire was more determined than ever to follow in her mother's footsteps, to become a doctor who not only treated diseases, but also touched lives with kindness and empathy. The journey wouldn't be easy, but with her mother's support and her own determination, she was ready to face any challenge that came her way. Claire's commitment and determination towards her education were evident from a young age. Despite the financial limitations, she always excelled in school, impressing her teachers and earning the respect of her peers. Every academic achievement was a step closer to her dream of becoming a doctor, and Claire never missed an opportunity to advance. One morning, as Claire headed to school, she reflected on her mother's words. "You have a gift," she had said. Those words were now her mantra, constantly reminding her that her hard work and dedication were worthwhile. At school, Claire faced daily challenges. Her classmates, though friendly, didn't always understand the pressure she was under. While many of them worried about trivial matters, Claire focused on her studies, knowing that her future depended on her academic performance. Her teachers, recognizing her talent and determination, often provided her with extra support. One day, during a biology class, Ms. Sadler announced a statewide science competition. Claire knew that participating in that competition could open many doors for her. "Students, this is a great opportunity to showcase your skills and knowledge. I hope many of you will sign up," Ms. Sadler said. Claire immediately raised her hand. "Ms. Sadler, I'd like to participate," she said confidently. Ms. Sadler smiled. "I'm sure you'll do an excellent job, Claire. You have all my support." Over the next few weeks, Claire worked tirelessly on her project for the competition. She spent hours in the library researching, and her nights were filled with experiments and note-taking. Her mother and father, though concerned about the workload Claire was taking on, supported her unconditionally. Finally, the day of the competition arrived. Claire was nervous but also excited. She knew she had given it her best. During her presentation, she spoke with passion and clarity, demonstrating a deep understanding of the topic. By the end, the judges were impressed. A few days later, Claire received a letter from the competition's organization. With trembling hands, she opened it and read aloud. "You've won first place in the state science competition." Her family erupted into applause and hugs. Claire could hardly believe it. This achievement was not only a recognition of her hard work, but also an open door to new opportunities. The prize included a scholarship for a summer program at a prestigious university. Claire knew this was just the beginning of her journey toward medicine. With the support of her family and community, she felt invincible. At the end of the school year, during the awards ceremony, the principal called Claire to the stage. "It is an honor to present this award to a student who has demonstrated extraordinary dedication and excellence. Claire, you are an example for us all." Claire accepted her award with a radiant smile, thanking her teachers and family for their unwavering support. She felt that each step brought her closer to her dream. As she held the trophy, she remembered the nights spent in the hospital with her mother, her father's wise advice, and her family's unbreakable love. That summer, Claire attended the university program, where she not only learned a great deal, but also met students and professors who shared her passion for medicine. Each day in the program reinforced her desire to become a doctor and help others. When the program ended and Claire returned home, she was greeted with a grand celebration from her community. The neighbors, who had always seen her as a special child, now viewed her as a promising young woman destined for great things. Mrs. McGregor, whose health had improved thanks to Claire and her mother's help, approached her during the celebration. "Claire, I always knew you would do wonderful things. You are a blessing to all of us," she said, with tears of joy in her eyes. Moved, Claire hugged Mrs. McGregor and everyone who supported her. She felt deep gratitude and renewed determination to move forward. Her dream of becoming a doctor was not just for her, but for the entire community that had watched her grow and believed in her. With the unwavering support of her family and community, Claire was ready to face the next challenges. She knew that the path to medicine would be difficult, but she was determined to persevere and make her dream a reality, honoring the legacy of compassion and dedication her mother had taught her. The summer had been transformative for Claire. Not only had she expanded her knowledge, but she had also met many people who shared her passion for medicine. However, upon returning home, Claire wasted no time in resuming her work in the community. She knew that her true learning was not just in books, but in the experiences and people around her. One day, while at the local library, Claire saw a poster announcing a community volunteer group meeting. She decided to attend, where she was warmly welcomed by the group members. "Welcome, Claire. I've heard so much about you and your achievements," said Jules, a doctor who led the volunteer group. Jules was an imposing yet kind figure, with extensive experience in medicine and a deep commitment to the community. From the moment they met, Claire felt a connection with her. "Thank you, Dr. Jules. I'm very excited to contribute and learn," Claire responded enthusiastically. Jules smiled, seeing in Claire a reflection of herself when she was younger. She decided to take Claire under her wing, helping her understand not only the technical aspects of medicine, but also the importance of community service. In the following weeks, Claire participated in various activities organized by the volunteer group. They conducted health campaigns in underserved areas, providing medical checkups, vaccinations, and health education workshops. Claire, with her enthusiasm and newly acquired skills, quickly became a key member of the team. During one of these campaigns, Claire met several children who lacked regular medical access. One of them was Dan, an 8-year-old with severe asthma. His mother, worried, explained to Claire that they couldn't afford proper treatment. "We've tried everything, but we can't pay for the medications," Dan's mother said sadly. Moved by the situation, Claire decided to speak with Jules to find a solution. Together, they secured donated medicines and arranged a treatment plan for Dan. Claire personally oversaw his progress, visiting him regularly and teaching him and his mother how to manage his condition. Dan's family's gratitude was overwhelming. Seeing how her actions could have such a significant impact on someone's life reaffirmed Claire's calling. She felt she was on the right path. One day, as Claire and Jules were returning from a campaign, Jules decided to share part of her own story. "Claire, when I was young, I also faced many difficulties. My parents couldn't afford my education, but I found mentors who helped and guided me. Now, I want to do the same for you." Surprised and grateful, Claire listened attentively. She knew that having Jules as a mentor was an invaluable opportunity. "Thank you, Dr. Jules. It means a lot to me to know that someone believes in me and my future," Claire said sincerely. "Claire, you have incredible potential. I see in you someone who will not only be a great doctor, but also a leader and inspiration for others." "Keep working hard and never lose sight of why you're doing this," Jules replied, giving her an encouraging hug. Jules's influence and the volunteer experience not only strengthened Claire's medical skills, but also taught her the importance of empathy and serving others. Each day, she felt more confident in her decision to become a doctor and her ability to make a difference. In addition to the health campaigns, Claire also began participating in workshops and talks organized by the volunteer group. During one of these workshops, she met other young people passionate about medicine and community service. Together, they discussed ideas and projects to improve health and well-being in their community. One of these projects was the creation of a community health center where people could receive basic medical care and health education for free. Claire became deeply involved in planning and executing the project, working tirelessly to raise funds and secure support. On the day of the health center's opening, Claire felt immense satisfaction seeing the fruits of her and her teammates' efforts. The center would not only provide medical care, but also be a place of learning and growth for many young people like her. Jules, proud of Claire and the team, addressed them with words of encouragement during the opening ceremony. Today we celebrate not only the opening of this center, but also the spirit of solidarity and commitment that made this possible. Claire, you and all the young people here are the future of our community. Keep moving forward with the same passion and determination. Emotional and full of gratitude, Claire took Jules's hand and promised to continue working hard to honor her mentor's and mother's legacy. She knew that the path to medicine would be long and challenging, but with each step she took, she felt she was getting a little closer to her dream. And so, with the support of her family, community, and mentor, Claire continued her journey, determined to make a difference and prove that with effort and dedication, anything is possible. Claire was thrilled when she received her acceptance letter to medical school. She had worked tirelessly to reach this point, and now she was finally one step closer to her dream. With the support of her family and community, she moved to a new city to start her university life. The first days at the university were both exciting and challenging. Claire devoted herself to her studies with the same determination she had always had, and soon began to excel in her classes. However, university life was not just about studying. It was also an opportunity to make new friends and experience new things. One day, while walking around campus, Claire met Louis. It was hard not to notice him. Louis had a natural charisma that attracted people. He was the son of a wealthy family and seemed to have a perfect life. They met during a university party organized by one of the student clubs. "Hi, I'm Louis," he said, offering her a dazzling smile. "Hi, I'm Claire," she replied, a bit shy but intrigued. They began to talk, and Claire was surprised at how easy it was to converse with Louis. He had a relaxed charm and seemed genuinely interested in her. Over the following weeks, they started spending more time together. Louis would take her out, and Claire, despite being aware of their different backgrounds, was charmed by him. Louis had a way of making Claire feel special. He took her to luxurious places and gave her expensive gifts, something she wasn't used to. Although she enjoyed his company, Claire couldn't shake a small voice of doubt in the back of her mind. However, whenever these doubts arose, Louis dispelled them with his attention and affection. One afternoon, while they were at a coffee shop near campus, Louis took Claire's hand and looked into her eyes. "Claire, you mean a lot to me. I want you to know that I'm here for you no matter what happens," he said, with a sincerity that disarmed her. Claire smiled and felt her doubts fade away. As the months went by, their relationship became more serious. Louis started talking about a future together, and Claire, despite her initial reservations, began to dream of that possibility. However, everything changed one night. Claire discovered she was pregnant. Nervously, she decided to tell Louis, hoping he would be by her side. When she gave him the news, Louis looked at her with an expression Claire had never seen before. The warmth in his eyes vanished, replaced by something cold and calculating. "Claire, this can't be happening," he said, his voice icy. "We're not ready for this. You need to get rid of the baby." Claire felt as if the ground had opened beneath her. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. "Louis, how can you say that? I thought you wanted a future with me," she replied with tears in her eyes. Louis avoided her gaze and stood up. "Claire, I can't be involved in this. I'm sorry, but I'm not ready to be a father. This is your problem now." With that, Louis left, leaving Claire devastated and alone. For days, she struggled with the reality of her situation. She had to make difficult decisions and face her fears. Despite the pain and uncertainty, Claire decided to keep the baby and raise it on her own. She felt a deep sense of responsibility and was determined to prove that she could handle this challenge. Her family, despite their initial shock, rallied around her, offering support and love. Claire's mother was especially supportive, helping her navigate this new chapter of her life. Months later, Claire gave birth to a healthy baby girl whom she named Emma. The experience of becoming a mother was transformative for Claire. She faced each day with new determination, balancing her studies and caring for Emma with the help of her family. Louis eventually tried to reconnect with Claire, but she had moved on. She had found strength and resilience in herself that she didn't know she had. Claire continued her medical studies, focusing on her future and the bright path that lay ahead for her and Emma. As she walked through the campus with Emma in her arms, Claire felt a profound sense of accomplishment. She knew that she had overcome many obstacles and had grown stronger through the challenges. Claire's journey was far from over, but she faced the future with hope, confidence, and the unwavering love she had for her daughter. Claire had returned to her apartment with a heart shattered into pieces. Louis's words echoed in her mind, each one a reminder of the cruelty and coldness she had never imagined he could possess. She sat on her bed staring at the bundle of cash Louis had left on the table, feeling a mix of pain and anger. She knew she had to make a decision. She couldn't afford to fall into despair. She thought about her family, her mother who had always been a model of strength and compassion. Claire decided she wasn't going to give up. No matter how difficult the path, she would forge ahead. The next day, Claire went to the University Health Center to confirm her pregnancy. Sitting in the waiting room, her thoughts kept returning to the same question. How would she face this alone? But when the doctor confirmed she was pregnant, Claire felt a new wave of determination. She was not alone. She had her family, her community, and above all, herself. In the following weeks, Claire focused on her studies and how to manage her new reality. She tried to reach out to Louis once more, hoping he had reflected on his words. However, he avoided her, and Claire eventually realized she couldn't rely on him. One afternoon, while walking across campus, Claire saw a poster about a guest lecture by Professor David, known for his work in global medicine. She decided to attend, hoping to distract herself and find inspiration. The lecture was fascinating, and at the end, Claire approached David to ask a few questions. "Professor David, your work is truly inspiring. How did you manage to balance your career with personal challenges?" Claire asked. David, noticing the seriousness and genuine interest in Claire's eyes, smiled kindly. "It wasn't easy, Claire, but I always believed that every challenge is an opportunity to grow. The key is to keep your goals in sight and remember why you started this path." David's words resonated deeply with Claire. After the lecture, she stayed to talk with him about her aspirations and challenges. David, impressed by her determination and sincerity, offered her guidance. "Claire, I see a lot of potential in you. If you ever need advice or help, don't hesitate to reach out to me," David said. Little did Claire know that this offer would become a lifeline in the near future. One night, while reviewing her notes in the library, Claire began to feel the pressure of her responsibilities. She knew she couldn't keep hiding her pregnancy for much longer. She decided to speak with David and ask for his advice. David met her in his office the next day. Claire explained everything about her situation, from her relationship with Louis to the pregnancy and the betrayal. "David, I'm so confused and scared. I don't know how to handle all this on my own," Claire confessed, her eyes filled with tears. David, with genuine understanding, offered an unexpected solution. "Claire, I've been thinking about your situation. There's a medical program abroad that would be perfect for you, but you need stability to focus on your studies. If you agree, we could have a temporary marriage. This would give you the chance to participate in the program and move forward with your dreams." Claire was stunned by the proposal. She knew David had no obligation to help her, and this offer was more than she had hoped for. "I don't know what to say, David. This is so unexpected, but thank you. I need to think about it," Claire replied, overwhelmed. That night, Claire spoke with her mother on the phone, telling her everything about her situation and David's proposal. Juliet, though concerned, gave her blessing. "Claire, you've always been strong and brave. I trust that you will make the best decision for yourself and your future. Follow your heart, and remember that I will always be here to support you," Juliet said firmly. With her mother's support, Claire made her decision. She accepted David's proposal, and they had a small ceremony. It wasn't a traditional marriage, but it was filled with respect and a sincere intention to help each other. Claire felt grateful to have someone like David by her side at such a critical moment. With her new situation, Claire moved abroad to participate in the prestigious medical program. The days were long and demanding, but Claire devoted herself to her studies and training with renewed passion. The relationship between Claire and David began to blossom, evolving from a simple partnership into a true friendship, and eventually a deep respect and love. Claire knew that her path wouldn't be easy, but with David by her side and the unwavering support of her family, she felt she could face any challenge. She was more determined than ever to prove that, despite betrayals and adversities, she would achieve her dreams and become the doctor she had always wanted to be. The new chapter of Claire's life abroad began with a mix of emotions. She was excited about the opportunities offered by the prestigious medical program, but also felt the pressure of her new responsibilities and the future awaiting her as a mother. David had become an invaluable source of support, and his presence gave her the strength to move forward. The first days in the program were intense. Claire immersed herself in her studies and medical practice, facing complex cases and learning from some of the best doctors in the world. Her dedication did not go unnoticed, and she soon earned the respect of her colleagues and supervisors. However, despite her academic achievements, Claire knew she had to make an important decision regarding her pregnancy. One day, after a long day at the hospital, Claire decided to talk to David about her concerns. "David, I've been thinking a lot about our future and the baby. I don't want to hide this any longer. I want everyone to know our situation and that I'm committed to moving forward with my career and our family," Claire said with determination. David nodded, understanding the importance of her decision. "Claire, I'm with you on this. I will support any decision you make. You know I will always be here for you and the baby," he responded sincerely. With David's support, Claire decided to inform her supervisors about her pregnancy. Although she was nervous, she knew it was the right thing to do. The next day, she met with Dr. Thompson, the program director, to share her situation. "Dr. Thompson, there's something important I need to tell you. I'm pregnant, and I wanted to make sure this situation doesn't affect my ability to continue with the program," Claire said boldly. Dr. Thompson looked at her with a serious but understanding expression. "Claire, you are one of our top students and we're here to support you. We'll need to make some adjustments, but I trust you'll be able to handle both responsibilities. If you need any help or flexibility, don't hesitate to ask," Dr. Thompson replied. Claire felt relieved by Dr. Thompson's understanding and support. With his approval, she began to adjust her schedule to accommodate medical visits and prenatal care while keeping up with her studies and practice. Over time, news of Claire's pregnancy spread among her colleagues and supervisors. Despite some initial murmurs, most of her peers supported her and respected her determination. Claire became an example of resilience and dedication, demonstrating that it was possible to balance personal and professional life. One day, while Claire was in the lab reviewing some results, she received a call from her mother. "Claire, I'm so proud of you. I've heard about everything you've achieved. You're amazing, my daughter," Juliet said, her voice full of pride and emotion. "Thank you, Mum. I couldn't have done it without your support and David's. I'm more determined than ever to move forward and achieve my dreams," Claire replied with tears of gratitude. Juliet and Claire talked for a while, sharing news and strengthening the bond they had always had. This conversation gave Claire renewed energy to face the challenges ahead. As the program progressed, Claire and David grew even closer. What started as a marriage of convenience evolved into a relationship filled with respect and genuine love. David became a father figure to the baby, and together they began to plan their future as a family. One day, while walking through a nearby park, Claire stopped and looked at David with a smile. "David, I want you to know how much you mean to me. You've been an incredible support, and I don't know what I would do without you. I'm so grateful for everything you've done for us," Claire said sincerely. David took her hand and looked into her eyes. "Claire, you are an incredibly strong and brave person. I'm proud to be a part of your life and our family. Together we can face anything," David replied. With David's support, her mother's and her colleagues, Claire felt stronger and more confident than ever. She knew that the path to her goal wouldn't be easy, but she was determined to move forward with resolve and love. She was convinced that despite the adversities, she would become a successful doctor and a loving mother, fulfilling her dream of helping others and making a difference in the world. Claire's life abroad took on an intense and challenging rhythm. Each day was filled with classes, clinical rotations, and studies. Despite the heavy workload, Claire found new motivation in her pregnancy and in her blossoming relationship with David. The months passed quickly, and Claire began to stand out not only for her medical skills, but also for her ability to handle multiple responsibilities. Her colleagues and supervisors admired her dedication and resilience. David, always by her side, supported her every step of the way. One morning, while Claire was reviewing notes at the hospital, she felt a gentle kick in her belly. It was a constant reminder of the life growing inside her and the reasons she continued to persevere. She smiled and caressed her belly, feeling a deep connection with her baby. David found her at that moment and approached her. "Is everything okay?" he asked, noticing the smile on Claire's face. "Yes, just a kick from the baby. It reminds me why I'm doing all this," Claire replied tenderly. David smiled and took her hand. "You're doing an amazing job, Claire," he said sincerely. The relationship between Claire and David grew stronger each day. What began as a marriage of convenience transformed into a true story of love and companionship. David was not only an emotional support, but also a life partner who understood and shared Claire's aspirations. One day during a clinical rotation, Claire faced one of the most challenging cases yet. A child arrived at the hospital in critical condition and needed emergency surgery. Claire, along with her team, worked tirelessly to stabilize the child and perform the operation. While in the operating room, Claire remembered her mother's words about the importance of care and empathy. With each step of the surgery, she made sure to maintain calm and focus. The operation was a success, and the child was out of danger. At the end of the day, as Claire rested in the break room, she received an unexpected visit. The parents of the child she had operated on came to thank her personally. "Doctor, we have no words to express our gratitude. You saved our son's life," said the mother with tears in her eyes. Claire felt deeply moved and grateful. This moment reaffirmed her vocation and gave her new energy to continue. She knew that every effort was worth it when she could make such a significant difference in someone's life. As the months went by, Claire and David began planning for the baby's arrival. They found an apartment near the hospital and turned it into a cozy home. They decorated the baby's room with soft colors and loving details, preparing for the new family member's arrival. One afternoon, while Claire was in angiospermy class, she felt a sharp pain in her abdomen. Knowing that the time had come, all the meaning of her pregnancy and how things had developed flooded her mind in waves of thought. It was time. She called David, and together they headed to the hospital. David stayed by her side throughout the process, holding her hand and providing support. As Claire was taken to the delivery room, she couldn't help but think about the events that had transpired. Everything she had gone through and experienced was a reminder of her strength. Despite how things had turned out, Claire found herself with a smile on her face, knowing she was about to enter a new stage in her life. The labor was long and exhausting, but finally, after a lengthy and painful effort, Claire gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. Seeing her daughter for the first time, Claire felt a wave of love and protection that she had never experienced before. David, with tears in his eyes, held the baby and looked at Claire with admiration. "She's perfect, Claire, our little miracle," David said, gently kissing the baby's forehead. Claire, exhausted but happy, nodded. "Yes, she is, our daughter," she replied with a radiant smile. The following days were filled with new experiences and challenges. Claire learned to balance her time between caring for her daughter and continuing with her studies and medical practice. Despite the lack of sleep and exhaustion, every moment with her daughter gave her a new reason to keep going. David, always present, shared the responsibilities and ensured that Claire had the support she needed. Together, They formed an unstoppable team, facing each challenge with love and determination. One day, while walking with their daughter in a nearby park, Claire stopped and looked at David with a smile. "David, I couldn't have done this without you. Thank you for always being by my side," she said gratefully. David hugged her and gently kissed her forehead. "Claire, we are a team, and together we can achieve anything," David replied with conviction. With the birth of their daughter and David's unwavering support, Claire felt stronger and more motivated than ever. She knew the road to her goal was still long, but she was determined to keep moving forward, facing every challenge with bravery and love. Each day was a new opportunity to learn, grow, and show that, despite the adversities, she could achieve her dreams. With her family by her side and her passion for medicine, Claire was ready to face whatever the future held. Claire and David's life had adjusted to a new rhythm with the arrival of their daughter. Despite the sleepless nights and increasing responsibilities, Claire was determined not to let anything divert her from her goal of becoming a renowned physician. Her dedication to her studies and family was evident to everyone around her. At the hospital, Claire faced each day with renewed determination. She knew that each case she handled was an opportunity to learn and grow. One of the most significant challenges came when she was assigned a complicated case. A 7-year-old boy named Matteo, who suffered from a congenital heart condition and needed emergency surgery. Claire worked tirelessly with her team to prepare for the operation. During the pre-operative meetings, she demonstrated a deep understanding of the situation and proposed a detailed plan for the surgery. Her colleagues respected her for her knowledge and skills, and Dr. Thompson, her supervisor, praised her for her leadership. "Claire, you have shown exceptional maturity and skill. I trust that you will lead this operation successfully," Dr. Thompson said, patting her on the shoulder. On the day of the surgery, Claire was nervous but focused. She knew that Matteo's life depended on her and her team. The operation was long and complex, with moments of tension and critical decisions to be made. Claire remained calm and guided her team with confidence. Finally, after hours of meticulous work, the surgery was a success. Matteo was recovering well, and his parents, filled with gratitude, thanked Claire and her team for saving their son's life. "Doctor, we have no words to thank you. You have given our son a second chance," Matteo's mother said, tears in her eyes. Claire felt deeply touched. This moment reaffirmed why she had chosen medicine. It wasn't just about curing diseases, but about bringing hope and joy to families. Meanwhile, at home, Claire and David continued to adapt to their new life as parents. David made sure Claire had the support she needed, taking on much of the care for their daughter, so Claire could focus on her studies and work at the hospital. One day, after a long day at the hospital, Claire came home to find David and their daughter playing in the living room. The sight filled her with happiness and gratitude. She joined them, and for a moment, all worries and exhaustion faded away. "David, I don't know what I'd do without you. Thank you for everything you do," Claire said, hugging him. "We're a team, Claire, and we're in this together," David replied, smiling. As the months passed, Claire continued to face and overcome challenges at the hospital. She participated in various research projects and conferences, sharing her knowledge and learning from other experts. Her reputation as a talented and dedicated physician grew, and her colleagues admired her not only for her skills, but also for her compassion and empathy. One day, she received an invitation to participate in an international medical conference. It was an incredible opportunity to present her research and meet other professionals in the field. Claire accepted enthusiastically, seeing this as a chance to broaden her horizons and continue growing professionally. The conference was a success. Claire presented her research on pediatric heart surgery and received praise from many of the attendees. It was a moment of pride and validation for her, demonstrating that all her effort and sacrifice were paying off. During the conference, Claire met several prominent doctors who offered her opportunities for collaboration and new perspectives. One of them, Dr. Morales, an internationally renowned surgeon, offered her the chance to join his team at a prestigious hospital. "Claire, your work is impressive. I'd love for you to consider joining our team. I believe we could do great things together," Dr. Morales said. Claire was excited about the offer, but also knew she needed to consider the impact on her family. She decided to discuss it with David and reflect on what would be best for them. That night, while walking along the beach near the conference venue, Claire shared the offer with David. "David, Dr. Morales has offered me a position on his team. It's an incredible opportunity, but I want to make sure it's also the best for our family," Claire said, seeking his opinion. David looked at her with affection and understanding. "Claire, I will always support your dreams. If this is an opportunity that will help you grow and achieve your goals, I'm with you. We can make it work," David responded with conviction. With David's support, Claire decided to accept the offer. She knew this was an important step in her career and was determined to make the most of the opportunity. They returned home with a new plan and renewed determination. The new chapter in Claire's life began with a mix of excitement and nervousness. Dr. Morales' offer was an incredible opportunity, but also meant a significant change for their family. Claire and David prepared for the transition, knowing that this new phase would come with challenges and adjustments. As Claire settled into her new role at the prestigious hospital, she felt both exhilarated and overwhelmed. The pace was fast and the expectations were high. However, Claire's determination and dedication guided her through every challenge. In her new position, Claire continued to excel and make significant contributions to the field. She conducted groundbreaking research and collaborated with top professionals from around the world. Her work garnered recognition, and she became a respected figure in the medical community. Meanwhile, David continued to support Claire and their daughter with unwavering love. He took on the responsibilities of caring for their child and managing their home life, ensuring that Claire could focus on her career without additional stress. The years passed, and Claire's achievements in medicine grew. She became a leading expert in her field and inspired many with her dedication and compassion. Her journey from a student to a renowned physician was marked by hard work, sacrifices, and the unwavering support of her family. Looking back, Claire felt immense pride and gratitude. Her journey had not been easy, but it had been filled with meaningful moments and significant achievements. She knew that every challenge had contributed to her growth and success. Claire and David continued to build a happy and fulfilling life together, always grateful for the support they had provided each other throughout their journey. Their family was stronger than ever, and Claire's career continued to flourish, reflecting the dedication and love that had guided her every step of the way. One day, while Claire was reviewing some reports in her office, Dr. Morales approached her with a proposal. "Claire, I've been observing your work, and I'm really impressed. I would like you to consider leading a new research project on pediatric heart diseases. I believe you have the talent and vision to take this project to the next level," Dr. Morales said. Claire felt honored by the offer. She knew that leading a project of this magnitude would be challenging, but it was also an opportunity to make a significant difference in her field. "Dr. Morales, it would be an honor to lead this project. I appreciate your confidence in me, and am excited about the opportunity," Claire responded enthusiastically. The project required dedication and long hours of work, but Claire was determined to make it successful. She began assembling a team of talented researchers and doctors, and together they embarked on a journey to develop new techniques and treatments for pediatric heart diseases. Meanwhile, at home, Claire and David enjoyed their family life. Their daughter was growing quickly, filling their days with joy and laughter. David, always present and attentive, ensured that Claire had the support she needed to balance her professional and personal life. One day, while Claire and David were playing with their daughter at the park, Claire received an urgent call from the hospital. A child with a severe heart complication had been admitted and needed immediate surgery. Claire said goodbye to her family and headed to the hospital, knowing that every minute counted. The surgery was complex and challenging, but Claire remained calm and led her team with precision. In the end, they managed to stabilize the child and save his life. The child's parents were immensely grateful and couldn't stop praising Claire and her team. "Doctor, you are our hero. We don't know how to thank you enough for saving our son," the child's mother said with tears in her eyes. Claire was deeply moved by her words. She knew that these moments were the reason she had chosen medicine. Every life saved, every family helped, was a reward beyond measure. As the research project progressed, Claire and her team achieved significant breakthroughs. They published several articles in renowned medical journals and received recognition for their innovative work. Claire was invited to give lectures around the world, sharing her knowledge and learning from other experts. One day during one of these conferences, Claire ran into an old colleague, Jules, the doctor who had mentored her during her volunteer years. "Claire, I can't tell you how proud I am of you. You've accomplished incredible things, and I know this is just the beginning," Jules said with a smile. Claire felt excited to see Jules. She recalled the days they worked together on community health campaigns and how Jules had been a source of inspiration and guidance. "Thank you, Jules. I wouldn't be here without your support and mentorship. Everything I learned from you has been fundamental in my journey," Claire replied with gratitude. Back home, Claire and David celebrated their successes and enjoyed family moments. Their daughter was growing up quickly, and each day brought new joys and challenges. Claire made sure to spend quality time with her family, knowing they were her greatest source of strength and happiness. One day, while Claire and David were in the kitchen preparing dinner, their daughter approached with a big smile. "Mom, Dad, today at school they asked us what we wanted to be when we grew up. I said I want to be like my mom, a doctor who helps people," she said proudly. Claire felt a wave of emotion and pride. She knew she was leaving a legacy not only in her profession, but also in her family. "We're very proud of you, sweetheart. Always follow your dreams and work hard, and you'll achieve whatever you set your mind to," Claire replied, hugging her daughter. With each passing day, Claire felt more fulfilled and grateful for the opportunities and support she had received. She knew there were still many challenges ahead, but she was ready to face them with courage and determination. The balance between her professional and family life was a delicate act, but with David's support and her daughter's love, Claire was confident she could achieve anything. Her journey was far from over, and with each step she took, she proved that with passion, dedication, and love, anything was possible. The next day, Claire was in the middle of a meeting with her research team when her phone started vibrating insistently. It was a call from the hospital, something that rarely happened unless it was an emergency. She quickly apologized and left the room to take the call. "Dr. Claire, we have a critical situation. We need you to come to the hospital immediately," said the voice of the emergency coordinator on the line. Claire felt a knot in her stomach. She had handled many emergencies before, but something in the coordinator's tone made her alert. She rushed to the hospital, her mind filled with questions and uncertainty. Upon arriving at the hospital, Dr. Thompson greeted her with a grave expression. "Claire, the patient is Louis. He is in critical condition and needs emergency surgery. You are the only one with the experience and skills necessary for this operation," Dr. Thompson said, holding her gaze. Claire's world stopped for a moment. Louis, the man who had broken her heart and left her alone during one of the most difficult times in her life. "If you wanted to abort my daughter, why should I save your life?" she thought to herself. Now his life was in her hands. She felt a mix of emotions, anger, pain, but also a professional responsibility she could not ignore. She set aside those thoughts, knowing they did not belong to her anymore. They were just part of deep past feelings that were healing thanks to her new life. "I'm ready, Dr. Thompson. Let's get prepared," Claire replied, trying to maintain her composure. She entered the operating room where Louis lay unconscious on the stretcher. His face, though gaunt and pale, was unmistakable. Claire felt a pang in her chest, recalling all the painful moments she had endured because of him. But she quickly pushed those thoughts aside. This was a patient, and her duty was to save his life. As she washed her hands and donned the surgical gear, Claire remembered her mother's words about the importance of care and empathy. She needed to focus on the task and maintain her professionalism. "We're going to proceed with the surgery. I need everyone to be at the top of their game," Claire said, looking at her team with determination. The surgery began, and Claire immersed herself in her work, each movement precise and calculated. The situation was complicated. Louis had multiple internal injuries and severe bleeding. Every minute counted. As she worked, memories of her past with Louis filtered into her mind. She remembered the first time they met, how she felt special under his gaze, and then the indescribable pain when he had betrayed and humiliated her. But she also remembered her journey, her personal and professional growth, and how she had overcome each obstacle. The surgery continued, and Claire faced several critical moments. There was a point where it seemed like Louis might not survive. The bleeding was intense and difficult to control. Claire felt a surge of desperation, but forced herself to stay strong. "You're not leaving this, Louis, not this way," she murmured to herself, focusing even more on her work. Finally, after hours of intense concentration and effort, they managed to stabilize Louis. The bleeding stopped, and his vital signs began to improve. Claire sighed with relief, but also felt a wave of emotional exhaustion. She left the operating room and headed to the break room. She removed her mask and sank into a chair, her mind full of conflicting thoughts. She had saved Louis's life, the man who had hurt her deeply. She wasn't sure how to feel. A few minutes later, Dr. Thompson entered the room. "Claire, you did an incredible job. Louis has a chance thanks to you," he said sincerely. Claire nodded, grateful for her mentor's words, but still struggling internally. She knew she had done the right thing as a doctor, but as a person, she was still dealing with the pain of the past. A few days later, Louis began to recover. When he finally woke up, his eyes searched for Claire. She was there, checking his vital signs. "Claire," Louis murmured, his voice weak. Claire looked at him, her eyes filled with a mix of emotions. She said nothing, but her gaze spoke volumes. Louis understood that the woman before him was no longer the vulnerable young woman he had known. She was a strong and determined professional who had moved past her wounds. "I'm so sorry for everything," Louis said, his eyes filled with regret. Claire took a deep breath and responded calmly. "Louis, I saved you because it's my duty as a doctor. What you did in the past no longer has power over me. I have moved on with my life, and I'm in a better place now. I hope you also find peace and learn from your mistakes," Claire said firmly. With those words, Claire closed a painful chapter of her life. She knew her future was full of possibilities, and that with each challenge overcome, she grew stronger. Louis represented the past, but her present and future were filled with hope and opportunities. After the intense surgery on Louis, Claire returned to her routine. Her professional life was thriving, with the research project advancing and her reputation growing. However, the encounter with Louis had left a deep mark, reminding her of past wounds, but also of her ability to heal and move forward. A few weeks after the operation, Claire was at the hospital checking on her patients when she was called to Dr. Thompson's office. Upon entering, she saw David waiting with a serious but understanding expression. "Claire, we have a situation. Louis has reached out to me and wants to meet with you. He's deeply remorseful and wants to discuss something important with you," Dr. Thompson said. Claire hesitated for a moment, her emotions in turmoil. She knew she had moved on, but she was also curious about what Louis wanted to discuss. "I'll meet with him, but I want to be clear that this is not about reopening old wounds. I'm focused on my future and my work," Claire said resolutely. Dr. Thompson nodded, understanding her position. Claire arranged to meet with Louis the next day at a quiet coffee shop near the hospital. The following day, Claire arrived at the coffee shop and found Louis already waiting. He looked older and more tired, a stark contrast to the man she had once known. They greeted each other with a nod, and Claire took a seat. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with me, Claire," Louis said, his voice full of sincerity. Claire nodded, her gaze steady. "I'm here to listen. What do you want to discuss?" Louis took a deep breath. "Claire, I've been reflecting on my life and the choices I made. I realize now how wrong I was and the pain I caused you. I want to make amends, not just to you, but to myself. I've been working to turn my life around and help others who are struggling." Claire listened, trying to remain objective. "And what does this have to do with me?" "I want to support your research project," Louis said earnestly. "I've made some financial investments and have access to resources that could help. I know it's not enough to make up for the past, but it's a step toward making things right." Claire was taken aback. She hadn't expected this offer. It was an opportunity to advance her research, but also a reminder of her past. "I appreciate the offer, Louis. I'll consider it, but I need to think about it carefully," Claire replied. Louis nodded, understanding her need for space. "I understand. Thank you for hearing me out." As Claire left the coffee shop, she reflected on the encounter. She realized that her past had taught her valuable lessons about forgiveness, growth, and resilience. The offer from Louis was a complex issue, But she was determined to make the best decision for her future and her research. In the days that followed, Claire continued her work with renewed energy. She decided to accept Louis's offer, using the resources to further her research and help more children in need. She had learned to turn painful experiences into opportunities for growth and positive change. Claire's journey was one of personal and professional evolution. Each challenge she faced only strengthened her resolve and commitment to her work. She knew that the future was full of possibilities, and she was ready to embrace them with determination and hope. "All right, I'll talk to him," Claire said with a firm voice. She headed towards Louis's room, taking a deep breath before entering. When she opened the door, she saw him lying on the bed, with an expression of regret and sadness. Louis looked up, and his eyes met Claire's. "Claire, thank you for coming. I know I don't deserve your time, but I need to tell you something," Louis said, his voice barely a whisper. Claire approached and sat down in a chair next to the bed, maintaining her professionalism. "I'm here, Louis. What do you need to say?" she asked, trying to stay calm. Louis took a deep breath before speaking. "I've been thinking a lot during my recovery. I've had time to reflect on my actions and the harm I caused you. I humiliated you, and there's no excuse for what I did. I deeply regret all the pain I caused you," he began, tears welling up in his eyes. Claire felt a mix of emotions as she listened. She remembered the pain and betrayal, but she also knew this was a crucial moment for both of them. "Louis, what happened between us hurt me deeply, but I have learned to move past that pain and move forward with my life. I don't need your apology to heal. I've found my own path, and I'm at peace with that," Claire said, her voice firm yet gentle. Louis nodded, understanding the depth of her words. "I wanted to apologize, not just for me, but so you can see that I have changed. I'm trying to be a better person, and your forgiveness would mean a lot to me," he said, his voice breaking. Claire looked at him with compassion. "I forgive you, Louis, but not for you, for myself. I needed to close this chapter of my life, and now I can. I hope you find the peace and redemption you seek," she replied sincerely. Louis closed his eyes and let out a sigh of relief. Claire stood up, ready to leave the room. "Thank you, Claire. It means more than you can imagine," Louis said with a grateful look. Claire left the room feeling lighter. She knew she had done the right thing and that this meeting had been necessary for both of them. She returned to her work with renewed determination, focusing on her patients and the research project. Days went by, and Claire immersed herself in her responsibilities. The pediatric cardiology research project was progressing well, and Claire and her team made several significant breakthroughs. They published their findings in prestigious medical journals and received recognition for their innovative work. One day, while Claire was in the lab reviewing some data, she received an unexpected call. It was Dr. Morales, her mentor and project director. "Claire, we've been invited to present our work at an international conference in Paris. It's a great opportunity to showcase our advancements and learn from other experts in the field," Dr. Morales said with enthusiasm. Claire felt a surge of excitement. Presenting her work at an international conference was an honor and an incredible opportunity. "Thank you, Dr. Morales. It's an honor, and I'm excited about the opportunity," Claire responded with a smile. The trip to Paris was an unforgettable experience. Claire presented her research confidently, receiving praise and positive feedback from the attendees. She met several experts in the field and established valuable connections that could lead to future collaborations. During the conference, Claire also had the chance to reflect on her journey and all that she had achieved. She remembered the challenges and adversities she had faced, but also the moments of triumph and growth. One evening, while walking through the streets of Paris with David, she stopped and looked at him with a smile. "David, all of this feels like a dream. We've been through so much, but look where we are now. I'm so grateful for your support and for our family," Claire said with emotion. David hugged her and kissed her forehead. "Claire, you are the reason we're here. Your determination, your passion, and your love for what you do have brought us to this point. I'm proud of you and will always be by your side," David replied tenderly. Claire felt stronger and more secure than ever. She knew there were many challenges ahead, but she was ready to face them with courage and love. With her family by her side and her passion for medicine, Claire was determined to continue making a difference in the world and live her life to the fullest. The trip to Paris was a reminder of all she had accomplished and the endless possibilities that still awaited her. Claire returned home with renewed determination and a clear vision of her future, knowing that with effort, dedication, and love, anything was possible. Returning from Paris marked a turning point for Claire. The international conference had been a success, and her work received the recognition it deserved. However, the true test of her strength and character was about to present itself. Claire's life continued at its usual intense pace. At the hospital, she continued leading her research project and caring for her patients with the same dedication and compassion as always. Her relationship with David grew even stronger, and their daughter filled their days with joy and purpose. One day, while Claire was reviewing some reports in her office, she received a call from Dr. Morales. "Claire, we have an urgent situation. There's a last-minute conference about a new advance in pediatric cardiology treatments. I'd like you to attend and represent our team," Dr. Morales said. Claire accepted with enthusiasm. The conference was an opportunity to stay updated with the latest developments in her field and to share her own work. At the conference, Claire met several colleagues and experts. It was an enriching experience, full of idea exchanges and discussions about the future of pediatric medicine. During one of the sessions, Claire was invited to present her latest findings. She took the stage with confidence, presenting her research clearly and passionately. The attendees were impressed with her work and her ability to communicate complex ideas in an accessible way. At the end of the conference, one of the organizers approached Claire with a proposal. "Claire, your presentation was exceptional. We'd like to invite you to join our expert committee for the next year. Your perspective would be invaluable to our work," he said with a smile. Claire felt honored by the invitation and accepted with gratitude. It was an opportunity to expand her influence and contribute even more to her field. Back home, Claire reflected on how far she had come. From her humble beginnings to being recognized as a leader in her field, her journey had been challenging, but incredibly rewarding. The sun was setting over the city, casting a warm golden light. Claire sat on her balcony, contemplating the horizon. Next to her, a steaming cup of tea and an open medical book she had been reading. But at that moment, her mind wasn't on the book. It was on the journey that had brought her here. Claire remembered the early days of her life in the trailer park, the life lessons taught by her mother, and the constant inspiration her family had been. Every challenge she faced, every tear shed, and every triumph celebrated, all were part of the fabric of her story. The encounter with Louis had been a painful reminder of the past, but also a turning point. It allowed her to see how much she had grown and how strong she had become. Forgiving him hadn't been easy, but it had allowed her to close a chapter and move on with renewed lightness. In the hospital, Claire had found not only a career but a calling. Every patient cared for, every life saved, was a testament to her dedication and passion. The recognition and opportunities she had received were the result of her hard work and commitment, but more importantly, they were a reflection of the love and empathy that guided every step she took. David, her constant support and partner, joined her on the balcony and sat beside her. He had also been an integral part of her journey, a constant reminder that she wasn't alone and that together they could face anything. "What are you thinking about?" David asked softly, taking her hand. Claire smiled, looking at their intertwined fingers. "I was thinking about everything we've been through, how much we've grown and how far we've come. It's incredible, isn't it?" she replied, her voice filled with emotion. David nodded, gazing at the horizon. "Yes, it's been an incredible journey, and we still have much ahead of us. What matters is that we will face it together, as we always have," he said, gently squeezing her hand. At that moment, their daughter ran up to them with a radiant smile, holding a drawing she had made. "Mama, Papa, look at what I drew," she said with excitement. Claire took the drawing and looked at it with a smile. It was a picture of their family, together and happy. "It's beautiful, darling. You know, this drawing reminds me how lucky we are to have each other," Claire said, hugging her daughter. As the sun continued to set, Claire reflected on all she had learned. Life was full of challenges and surprises, but also of opportunities and blessings. Every step, every decision had been an essential part of her journey. Claire realized that despite the difficulties, there was always a light at the end of the tunnel. Resilience, love, and dedication were the keys to overcoming any adversity and finding true happiness. With her family by her side and her passion for medicine, Claire knew the future was bright. She was ready to move forward, face new challenges, and continue making a difference in the world. And so, with a heart full of gratitude and hope, Claire prepared for the next chapter of her life, knowing that no matter what the future held, she would always have the strength and love needed to succeed. Throughout her journey, Claire received unwavering support from her family and David, her life partner. This support was crucial to her success, reminding us that no one achieves great things alone. Collaboration, love, and understanding are fundamental pillars that sustain us during the most challenging times. The importance of passion and dedication in pursuing our dreams is highlighted. Claire never stopped working hard, studying, and improving her skills, even when circumstances were tough. Her determination led her to save lives and make a significant impact in her field, demonstrating that true success comes from an unbreakable commitment to our goals and values. Claire's story teaches us that resilience is key to overcoming any obstacle, that forgiveness frees us from the past and allows us to live in peace, and that the support of family and friends is essential for reaching our goals. Furthermore, it shows that constant passion and dedication are crucial for achieving true success, and that empathy, care, and understanding towards others make us better people and professionals. Thank you for joining us in this incredible story of love, strength, and perseverance. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming stories. See you in the next video.